Thank you for joining our presentation on the Toyota and Gibson County Schools teaming up to build a manufacturing academy. My name is Lisa Deck, and I'm with my colleague and friend Sarah Niemeyer from Toyota. So I am from INMAC, which is the Indiana Manufacturing Competitiveness Center, and that is here at Purdue University in Indiana. And Sarah is with Toyota.
Hello, everyone. Again, my name is Sarah Young Niemeyer, and I work here at Toyota, and my safety commitment is to wash my hands for 20 seconds.
All right, Sarah, thank you. So I want to give everybody kind of an overview of both of our organizations. I'm certain that everyone on this webinar today has heard of Toyota and potentially drives one, but maybe not quite as much as the INMAC, which is the Indiana Manufacturing Competitiveness Center. I will refer to INMAC that way from this point forward. To give you a high level, just kind of an overview of what we do. INMAC creates a strong, more competitive manufacturing ecosystem for Indiana and the nation by mobilizing its resources and expertise by creating a network to strengthen the relationships between the workforce education, innovation, entrepreneurship, and manufacturing research. Our education and workforce development team facilitate educational programs that create awareness, exposure, and hands on experiences at all levels of the industry sector. All of our initiatives revolve around the principle and relevance of today's workforce needs and provide the youth and adults with informed career opportunities. We partner with industry, education, and community based organizations, such as those of you on this call, to support awareness around all manufacturing and STEM careers. Sarah, you want to share a little bit about Toyota?
Sure, thank you, Lisa. Again, Toyota is here in Princeton, Indiana. It's a very rural community. Toyota was started in 1998. Again, we're in southern Indiana. Really, if you picture the map of the United States where Illinois, Indiana, and Kentucky meet, we're right there, kind of in the center of that location. We build the Highlander, Sienna, and Sequoia. And again, we continue to grow. We have around 7,000 team members and are very happy to be here in Indiana.
All right, so the Gibson County Schools, which is the county that Sarah's plant is located there in Princeton, they have three school corporations. So I've kind of put a summary slide up here of what those three school corporations look like, the enrollment of those schools to kind of give a different look. So you got North Gibson Community or Gibson School Corporation in Princeton. It's a little right at 2,000 students. East Gibson is much smaller. So they're Wood Memorial High School, which I put their students up there for their entire corporation, which is only 807. And then also South Gibson School Corporation. So all of these school corporations, the student counts of what those is K through 12. So that just to kind of give you all a perspective of the dynamics of the county school corporations and bringing three schools together to develop this academy. I mean, it is a unique situation that you have literally three superintendents sitting in one county, and so it made for some great dynamics as we began this process. So I always start off with kind of sharing why pathway systems. And as this graphic shows, the business engagement, the community support, the innovative learning, we really focus on the innovative learning piece of this, the careers of the future. So in Indiana, we really focus on the high wage, high demand careers as we start to build out these systems. And I always use the word system because I believe pathway is really overused. And so when we talk about pathways, we always put system behind it. So what Impact does as part of my role in the education workforce team is we look at how can we assist collaboratives, communities, corporations, educators on building out these systems together. And we really do believe that it is critical that everybody gets at the table and discusses this at one time. So over the course of 9 months, we met monthly to dissect each of these processes and work through any roadblocks that we would encounter. And so we basically developed an advisory council that sit down and started going through this process. That advisory council consisted not only of myself as the intermediary from NMAC, but it was also K through 12, the administrators, counselors. We had a few teachers in the room. We had our industry partner, Toyota, and Toyota brought a diverse group of team members to the table as well to get different perspectives of what's needed in their industry. We had post-secondary partners. Our post-secondary partner is Ivy Tech Community College is providing the dual credit for this program. We also had Vincennes University at the table because Vincennes already has a partnership with Toyota for their advanced maintenance technician program, AMT. So just to kind of briefly go through this process, we always start out by assessing what the needs are. What are the truly the needs of, for this pathway? And, we want to establish basically that root cause of those skills gaps. So we did this through data-driven discussions and looking at not only the positions that Toyota had open in their facility, and when we started this conversation, it was well over 250 openings at that time that they were simply not able to find talent that was technically ready for those positions. And so that's kind of the main piece of really making sure that we assess that piece of it. Then we brought that collaborative together. As I mentioned, we brought the educators, we brought the community partners. The community partner in the room was the local workforce board. Actually, it's called Southwest Work One Southwest, and so we brought those folks to the table as well with the others that I mentioned earlier. And then we sat down and we started to develop. And so what I mean by developing, we ran workshops over the course of those 9 to 12 months really of, 4 hours at a time. We met monthly and we started off with doing a skills mapping exercise and really mapping out what the technical skills, the academic skills, and what those professional skills entailed for the jobs that we listed as top priorities. And after a lot of discussion, because we really want to encompass what's happening over, under the roof of a manufacturing organization, it really boiled down for this team that we realized that we needed some highly technical, trained production team members to be successful in this Industry 4.0 world. So that's the area that we started out with when we, after our workshops and the skills mapping process. The other map that we did was curriculum map. So this is where the high schools were so instrumental in helping us map out what's the state standards, what do we need to make sure that the students are achieving to graduate. Either our goal is for them to graduate core 40 or a technical honors, and then what is it that we can add into this so that we have a high touch work-based project-based learning environment. And then we looked at tooling, equipment, and other parts of that development phase that helped us with the into that planning phase. So with the planning phase, that's where we really started talking about a marketing plan, a communication plan. We took the vision that came out of what we developed and developed not only a mission statement but a vision statement, and we started developing what that could look like for our program. And then finally, we evaluate. We meet regularly. The advisory council is still going strong. Of course, like every other collaborative, people change, but positions, and we try to keep the same dynamics of the group in place as we go through this process. So that's just a very high level overview of the pathway system process that we went through to develop 4T. So this is the logo that we came up with for 4T Academy, and it's 4T came about after much discussion. We were well into the planning phase of this when we actually came up with a name. And 4T came about because we have Toyota, and all three school corporations' mascots start with the letter T. So that is how 4T Academy, changing potential into power, came into play. So I'm going to share with you real quick the marketing video that Toyota was so gracious to put together, and just to give you a high level overview of our program.
What does potential look like? Is it a new design coming to life? Is it the spark, the idea that sees the challenge and finds the answer? Is it the will and dedication to mold raw materials into something enduring, something powerful, something game-changing? For Toyota, potential has always been the opportunity to raise the bar, go beyond what's expected, and most of all, move us all forward.
You know, manufacturing has changed so much, even in the last 5 years. And what this program means is that we are now going to give students the opportunity to start at a much younger age to be able to learn some of these skill sets that are necessary to be successful in their career.
This program supports Princeton Community High School, Gibson Southern High School, and Wood Memorial High School, with a combined enrollment of more than 1,500 students. While currently 68% of the region's high school students enroll in college, the completion rate is only 38%. Our program would give many of these students a life-changing opportunity to begin a career in the high-tech world of modern manufacturing with state-of-the-art technology and world-renowned production practices.
It's a great opportunity not only to learn basic skills for going into a manufacturing environment, but those technological skills that continue to grow into robotics and automation that are going to be critical for a line production worker all the way up to the management of a manufacturing plant to understand and be able to evolve as the technology evolves.
The 4T Academy is changing the perception of success for our local students and helping them to build a future that's right for them and close to home.
For Toyota here in Gibson County, I'm from Gibson County. I love this area. I've seen generation after generation come through those doors and be a Toyota team member. So as an innovative company, we can work with the teachers, we can work with the educators, we can work with the students, and we can bring them along with us, but they can also teach us things. And I am so immensely proud and humbled to be a part of the team that is rolling out this program to our community. It is absolutely amazing.
So, what does potential look like? Well, in Gibson County, it looks like this. Together, we can make a difference for our students, our community, and our future.
And together,
we will.
This is the 4T Academy, changing potential into power.
All right, so that's just a little, a video that we have used to do some marketing and communication with parents, students, teachers. I'm going to let Sarah talk a little bit about the mission and the vision and why we, why we're doing this thing. Sarah?
Thank you, Lisa. So again, the mission of the 4T Academy is to provide students with an innovative education experience that couples hands-on learning with on-the-job training while preparing for a successful and rewarding career. In terms of the future of learning, we know from the academic side, in the future, high schools will be graded on student performance after graduation with new completion requirements. We know there was a need in the high schools for hands-on learning and internships. From a community perspective, regionally, 68% of students enroll in college, but only 38% complete. That, coupled with a 2.5% unemployment rates, created many opportunities for change. The 2.5% unemployment rate was pre-COVID. Lastly, from a workforce perspective, we need better prepared workers from a technical side. Knowing the workplace of the future is going to need that technical aspect even more than it does today. This is a growing need in the industry. Again, Toyota really focuses on growing and molding our own team members. Opportunities exist at all levels here at TMMI. One good example of this is our current president, Leah Curry. She started her career here as a skilled team leader in our weld shop. Now, 18 years later, she is president of our Toyota Motor Manufacturing Indiana. From a future of jobs perspective, again, there has been a shift in the job focus, meaning that both employers and employees will need to adapt and better prepare for the future. Life expectancy is increasing. We know careers are now 60 to 70 years during that lifetime. So it is very important that we lead with our heart and find something that we are very passionate and desire to do every day. We want to couple it with the hands-on technical experience, continue to grow with our knowledge for our head, and again, equaling what our future jobs will look like.
So when we talk about what when we talked about the 4T curriculum, that what we worked with the high schools, it was actually quite challenging, to be honest, because we had 3 school systems with 3 different superintendents, 3 different manufacturing programs, if you will, in their schools. So what we did was we took what this slide shows is that freshman, sophomore, junior year, and senior year, what is potentially available at these schools. So it may vary from school to school, but we knew that we had to build a feeder system to get them to this junior year so that when they enter into the actual academy, that they were caught up, if you will. So if their freshman year, they have the option to take Intro to Manufacturing, Intro to Engineering Design, Computer Science, or Intro to Precision Machining. Their sophomore year, we'd like for them to get in the 2 of these classes. So Principles of Engineering, Advanced Manufacturing 1, Computer Science 2, Precision Machining, and you'll actually see through this continuum of what track, if you will, a student might take. So for example, if they do the Intro to Manufacturing or the Intro to Engineering Design, their freshman year, then their sophomore year, they would obviously be taking Principles of Engineering and Advanced Manufacturing 2. So that's just an example. And then their junior year, so their freshman and sophomore year are in their home school. Okay, so with the Toyota commitment to this, Toyota brings team members to the school, and we participate in monthly activities with the freshman and sophomore students that are on track for the academy. And then we'll also, post-COVID, we'll be bringing those freshman and sophomore students in maybe once or twice a year to the Toyota facility to do some specific high touch activities at the actual plant at Toyota. And then the junior year, those students then will attend at Princeton High School, is where the 4T High School Academy is located. So the students from South Gibson and East Gibson will actually be attending at Princeton High School at the academy their junior year, as a half a day basically. And then by their senior year, they will still go to the academy, some, but they will spend most of their time at the Forte Academy campus at Toyota. And we'll go into more details of what that looks like here in the future. So
And Lisa,
go ahead, Sarah.
Lisa, if I may add just to the slide again, the really key here for the school curriculum is it's more advanced and more technical. In addition, kind of in true Toyota fashion, where we pilot programs and then continue to build step by step, we're really focusing on our production aspect. So again, this aligns with that production focus. We do have plans to continue to build out pathways for skilled and engineering, but those are currently in process. So again, this piece currently is just focusing on the production aspect.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Sarah. Great. So when we build out this curriculum and we started looking at this curriculum map and what this could look like for these students, we knew that we needed to follow the Indiana Department of Education and academic standards and their framework. So this, what we want to make sure that we share with everyone is that we are running this academy as a CTE course, if you will. So that that's we want to follow that curriculum. We want to make sure that we're meeting our state standards and able to get the students through not only with the credential at the end through the CTE program, but also that the schools can still receive that CTE funding. So the other aspect of this program that we added into this was the employability skills piece. So we know to have a successful pathway system, it has to not only be academically strong, but it has to be very strong with technical skills and our employability or professional skills. And so when we built out the continuum of over the course of their freshman to senior year, we put a set of standards in place for these professional skills. So we based it on the Indiana State Employability Skills Standard, and we basically divided it out over the course of those 4 years of what we would really like for these students to be able to leave with. And so lifelong learning, self-confidence, perseverance, independence, self-discipline, effective communication, connection, collaboration, problem solving, and overall professionalism was kind of the topics that we put in here. And so they will be actually getting these skills from not only their Forte Academy high school instructor, but also at their on-site training that they're getting at Toyota. So we kind of blended that in over the 4 years at all locations. So this is a picture of the Forte Academy at Princeton High School. So these are some of we basically took a room that used to be an industrial arts room. They gutted it, and we were able to equip this room as a classroom with the tables, the equipment, just different aspects that they need to be successful in this class. So these are some of the students that are currently enrolled, and they're working on their electrical project right now. Sarah, I'll let you share a little bit about the training plan.
Great. Thank you, Lisa. Again, this is the Forte curriculum from a Toyota aspect. So again, like Lisa mentioned, again, from a freshman sophomore side, the plan is to see them 4 times a year and really focus on the true Toyota core information. So the Toyota way, the Toyota history, introducing them to safety and hazards training, and then growing upon that with professionalism, our 5S culture, and introductions to our Toyota production system and a quality circle intro. Then, as we grow in the program, we're seeing the juniors once a week, again for 2.5 hours, And again, really building upon just those snippets of the Toyota culture, um, giving some hands-on experience with AHA training, which is really talking about how the aha moment comes whenever you build online. Going more in depth with TPS, as well as standardized work, quality circles, and tool training. So tool training is the first opportunity that students will get to handle tools, shoot bolts, insert grommets. Then this is all building to their senior year, where the first semester, again, they're going to be continuing to develop their fundamental skills for their area assigned. And then by that second semester, we'll see them every week for 4 days, and they will actually be building online. So again, really a progression in terms of learning the core, getting some hands-on training, and then putting all that together in their senior year. In addition, their senior year, we will pay them $14 an hour, as they are truly going to be supporting our Toyota team.
I think the other cool thing about this piece of it is that, yeah, as we immerse these students into the Toyota culture and provide them with, I mean, they're going to be a leg up on anyone that would just come in and interview or walk into Toyota and try to get a job on their production line, because they're going to have these fundamental foundational skills that helps build, the culture around what exists in manufacturing. And so these kids are, I shouldn't say kids, these students are really really getting immersed into this very much so at an early stage in this.
Good, very good points, Lisa.
Go ahead, Sarah.
So
You want
again,
to share this?
sure. So again, this is again kind of the overview of the Toyota curriculum. So again, really wanting the engagement from the freshman and sophomore side with the culture training and the plant tours. The core Toyota training from a junior side, and then again, really bringing that all together through that internship from a senior side. And again, as I shared before, the current focus is production, but we do have plans to build out similar pathways for both skilled and engineering. Now a little bit more about what our campus looks like from an area layout side. So again, we really wanted to create a space very specific to 4T. We wanted it to be on site at Toyota. We wanted the students to get familiar with the manufacturing sights and sounds, as they're a little bit different than they're used to in their normal classroom environment. So we, again, built a specific area that the 4T students will come to when they visit Toyota. So you can see here on the left, we have a virtual reality side. So again, we wanted to look at the virtual reality aspect really from an engaging perspective. We have a classroom, again, the Toyota core information, a lot of the core learning, the basic learning will take place there. Then again, moving to your right, have a tool training station area. So we'll have basically 10 tool training stations that they will learn basic fundamental skills. And then we also have, again, on the far right, the moving line perspective. So again, once each of these pieces are learned, we will actually put them on a moving line, which will simulate what they will be doing in process and pulling all those skills together and actually building while the vehicle is moving.
Yeah,
So
it's a beautiful location, and what a great opportunity for these students.
so again, moving forward from this slide, we just have a couple pictures that we would just like to share of what the current space looks like. Again, it is still a work in progress, but again, we have our specific classroom there where you see the 4T students. We've tried to use all our updated technology, have some good desks. Again, you can see again with our current situation with COVID, again, always practicing that those social distancing guidelines.
One thing I want to add on this, Sarah, is with this classroom, you will notice that the top of that classroom is open, and that was done intentionally because they do in this space outside in this aspect of it's technically, I guess, a warehouse, but they build the Sequoia in this building, so they wanted the students to be able to hear the sounds of manufacturing and be able to kind of get a sense for what that is. Although it's not very loud, it doesn't really it does not disrupt their learning, or you don't have to scream in the classroom, but they're really creating an environment of you know inclusion.
Thank you, Lisa. Then just a little bit more about our virtual reality piece. So again, we have some augmented reality training. We were able to partner with our Toyota Tilt Lab. So from that perspective, both the Toyota Tilt Lab as well as TMMI are very excited in terms of looking at the students' experience to help continue to build that program. And then from a virtual reality perspective, we were able to include a virtual paint sprayer. It's a pretty cool application where students can, using virtual reality, can spray a car, and then we'll get a score, and that will basically the score will be in terms of their how much paint did they use, what was their method, were they consistent. So again, a very cool spin on paint spraying. And then lastly, the last picture on the bottom right is a forklift. So we actually have a fork truck seat where students will sit, and then their virtual reality will be again them driving around. And looking at the different aspects of that perspective. So again, just really trying to make it fun as well as show all different shops in our plant. The next slide is just our tool training area. So again, the tool training area is really from a fundamental skill side. Again, each one of these stations, you have specific standardized work to follow. We will teach the students about ergonomically handling the guns, how to properly start a bolt, how to install grommets properly. So again, just giving them some familiarization with the fundamental skills that are needed to be successful here at Toyota. And then lastly, is the moving line. So again, as I mentioned, this is all of the virtual reality, the core classroom training, the fundamental skills is really all moving up to this moving line so that students can build and walk and really put all their skills together. The reason we wanted to incorporate a moving line is this is one of the top feedback items from our new hires, that walking and building is a challenge. So we really wanted to make sure that we introduce that to students as soon as we could.
So to kind of recap, before, and we're going to talk about the challenges and some of the barriers that we faced through this process, and how far we've really came since early 2019. So really to emphasize and preface that this was a very how do I put it? It was very structured in the process of how we built this out. It did not come with, rainbows and sunshine. I mean, we had challenges and barriers. I think the biggest one was the three school corporations. I mentioned it earlier, the three superintendents, three different manufacturing classroom settings, and then just that academic and having the very varied academic courses and teachers that were able to actually teach these prerequisite courses. So I always list this as one of our top challenges because it took us a while to really streamline of what that could look like in each of these schools to make sure that these students were ready to hit the ground running that junior year when they physically show up to the 4T Academy at Princeton High School and at Toyota. And then, we talked about streamlining the money and the equipment, the discussions between the three schools, who's going to pay for this, who's going to do this, where does the money go, those type discussions were at sometimes very painful, to be honest. But they were necessary. And sometimes you have to go through those to, find a workable solution. And then the culture and territory and autonomy of those schools and the students that were feeding them into a blended learning situation from their home schools. So the corporation piece of it, those were some of our challenges and barriers. Um, the other one was where to house the academy. Actually, we were very deep into the process of building out this pathway system before we actually put a pin in on the map that said this is where we're going to house this. And it really boiled down to and came to the fact that Princeton High School had the space that we could basically restructure and build into a mini manufacturing type environment. And so, take into consideration the equipment, the costs, who's going to teach it, and, who's going to be in charge of it all. I also do want to note that we hired a director slash instructor, teacher for the Princeton High School 4T Academy piece. So we brought that person in, and they started fresh with this academy because we know that having a strong leader and teacher behind this was going to be absolutely critical. And then Toyota did the same. I mean, they ended up designating someone to be the leader or the team lead, if you will, on the 4T project on their end at their campus. Then the final thing was aligning schedules. The schools all started, some of them started at different times. Like their school day started at a different time. We found that they all started the school year at a different time. So, we had to work through what that looks like from school to school, how we were going to manage the transportation piece, getting, for South Gibson to get their kids to Princeton was a little bit further drive than it was for the Wood Memorial East Gibson students. So, figuring out the logistics of all of that and the timing so that we didn't have them out of the classroom for long periods of time. And then the other alignment piece was, the 4T Academy students at Princeton with the TMI on-site training. How does that work, and how do we manage all of those schedules? So those were just some of the things that we had to work through before we could launch. The launch took place in August. We were really concerned with COVID on what that was going to look like, but we are extremely pleased with how well the transition and the start of this has happened. And so it was definitely part of that process. Sarah's going to share with you some of the 4T measurable outcomes that were really driven by Toyota's TMMI's philosophies for their key performance indicators.
Thank you, Lisa. Yes, again, from a 4T measurable outcomes, anytime we go into a project, we definitely want to think about how we're going to quote unquote measure our success. So again, we want to make sure that placement after high school. So again, what are these students going to do after high school? Not necessarily that they may come into the Toyota family, but again, we really want to understand what the placement looks like and what their future plans are. We also want to think about enrollment into the program versus completion of the program. This is key because, again, how do we focus our recruiting efforts to make sure that the students who come into the program complete the program, and what gaps may we have in that. And in addition, maybe some in terms of enrollment to completion may be okay because maybe manufacturing isn't for those students. So again, really understanding what that looks like, enrollment compared to the completion.
Okay.
We also want to talk about the retention within the program when the manufacturing partners direct hire, the percentage hired by our manufacturing partners, and then future down the road, we really want to think about promotion rate and the diversity of the program. These are two very key items because we, again, feel like that the students are going to have a great base knowledge of Toyota and they will continue to grow. Therefore, the promotion rate may be higher. Lisa, I'll hand it back over to you for sustainability.
Okay, thanks. So when we talked about sustainability, of course, that's always a large conversation with any collaborative. And who's going to pay for what? It always comes down to money, and costs and equipment and manpower. And so when we looked at the equipment being a one-time cost, I mean we hope that our equipment would last 5 to 7 years, depending on how quickly technology changes, and we do know that it changes quickly. But we figured we could make that one-time investment, and then TMMI and schools would pay for the future maintenance of that equipment. And so that was part of that plan. The director and instructor salaries. So, and I'll have Sarah share with you a little bit more about the Toyota Indiana grant. But when we started this process, we didn't know where the money was going to come from. And that's some of the, I think some of the exciting pieces of when you're building out a process like this is that you put together a program and then you figure out where that money is going to come from for that sustainability. And we were about 9 to 10 months into the planning process, and we discovered that we had been recognized by the Toyota Indiana grant for a project that they felt was a best practice. And so the grant they gave the 4T Academy $1 million over the course of the next 4 years. And so that was just like icing on the cake at that point because we never banked on those dollars at all. So with those dollars, then we were able to take the first and second year of the the instructor's salary, and subsidize that a bit to help get things started and help the schools with the startup costs of it all. But then moving forward, North Gibson High School is going to be, or I'm sorry, North Gibson School Corporation will cover that instructor's costs and benefits in full. We also wanted to look at the college curriculum and credentials and what can we get basically for free. So for those of you who aren't from Indiana, our community college, Ivy Tech Community College that we partnered with, they provide dual credit for free for us in the state of Indiana. So we really wanted to capitalize on that to be able to get these students as much, get them basically some credits along the way so that they leave with a credential of some sort. And so that was a big piece of the sustainability piece of what does that look like, and what do we need to do to sustain that. The student wages, they would be paid by the manufacturing partners. And so we put in their manufacturing partners because although Toyota certainly stepped up to the plate and they were the lead manufacturer on this project from the get-go, our ultimate goal over the next 5 years is to get some of Toyota's suppliers on board, and get some of these students in other manufacturing organizations, to immerse them in other cultures. So, we want those student wages to be paid by those manufacturers to help with the sustainability of this program. Advertising also would be paid by the manufacturing partners to help promote the program and to bring parents and students and teachers into the facilities to help educate them and share with them the goals and the mission. The one thing we did not want this to be is that, we're just being a feeder system for production team members. That's not the intent. The intent of this is to bring them in with high level technical skills to not only start out potentially as a production team member, but to open the door and to give them opportunity for advancement. And as you saw in the video, I mean, the president of TMMI, I mean, she's from that area, and she started at the line as well. So that the goal is to help grow these students into careers. When the ownership group is determined, so when we talked about that, they would do a fundraising for the program. So when we talk about the ownership of the group, what we're looking at is potentially having a fiscal agent, if you will, that is kind of over the 4T Academy that helps drive the business model of it, and to be able to sustain it that way, to have structure and outcomes, and make sure that we're all being accountable for those outcomes. And then also the continuing education opportunities and the career paths, as I mentioned. I mean, that's one of our big goals, is to be able to have on and off ramps, if you will, of for students that we may be able to shoulder tap and say, this student is extremely talented in industrial maintenance skills. Maybe we tap them into their AMT program, and get them on that path. Somebody may have more of an engineering or a quality type of uh, skills that they say, let's put them on this path and start mentoring them. And then the marketing and counseling of students. We all know that if you go through a process, and as I said, in the pathway system process, one of our key pieces on that wheel that I shared with you is the marketing plan. If we are not able to communicate effectively and market this program, it will not be successful, and we know that. And so the counselors are just really pivotal in this process to help, students. They know those students better than any of us, to help guide them and share with them what this program could be, and creating an awareness around that. We also strategically have a plan for engaging females, people of color, at risk or underprivileged youth. And again, understanding those audiences of, the students, the parents, and the educators. A lot of times, and I'm sure many of you have dealt with this, but parents are really the hardest nuts to crack for this. They don't want their son or daughter just getting pigeonholed. And so we involve the parents in this process to show them the opportunities and for advancement, and to have a high wage, high um, demand job that's pays for their insurance. Their 401k starts at at age 19. All those benefits that are so important to this. So that's why we invite those students and parents into information sessions. They come and they tour Toyota. So the information sessions are housed at the Experience Center at Toyota, and they're able to really see firsthand what this is going to entail. We also have community outreach events, and we have those Toyota professionals that are visiting the schools on a regular basis, giving those presentation, partnering with teachers in some project-based or hands-on relevant projects, and making sure that we're providing them with opportunities that are realistic. And that's the key to it, is that relevant and realistic piece of this. So we are in the process of doing a student selection and application process. This year for the launch, we did not do that. We let the counselors guide us, or put the students in the 4T Academy. But we already know for future, as we continue to grow this program, it will have to be a student selection or application process for students to be involved in it. And a little bit of piece of that is that, in this world, it's not a free ride. So we have to work for everything that we get, whether that's in our career or, our education. So we want to challenge them and to let them know that this isn't just here, you're going to be put in this class like you would for English or history. It's you have to earn your spot in this. And that's going to be an important part of that. And in the future, we hope to have, the satellite programs and a method of expansion. So, we're currently already talking about the next phase of, who we want to integrate into this and how can we expand it to meet all of our goals. So the current enrollment as of August 31st of this year, we have 31 seniors and 24 juniors. So you can see that, Gibson Southern has a large number of students. Princeton does as well, with 11 seniors and 10 juniors. Wood Memorial has 4 seniors and 6 juniors. And again, Wood Memorial was the school corporation that had 800 students school-wide. So the percentages of the enrollment is pretty much where we expected them to be. And so that's, I think it started out very nicely. So to kind of round out and finish up our presentation for you all today, is the number one question we get is, how is this thing funded? And so we looked at the school district tuition transfer. So all school corporations participating in the academy will agree to pay transfer tuition to North Gibson School Corporation. So that they can attend the academy. So for example, in the state of Indiana, that money then that the state provides for that student will follow them to the academy. So North Gibson School Corporation, then they just use that 515 form to bill and transfer tuition from each school corporation, and that's on the completion of the school year. So North Gibson actually carries all the costs and handles all of that throughout the year, and then they bill back the schools at the end of the school year. And then Sarah, I'm going to let you share a little bit more about that Toyota funding that I mentioned.
Great, will do, Lisa. So again, the Toyota funding, as Lisa talked about during the first part of the presentation, we started this process, and at that point, we didn't really know where the money was going to come from. So after discussions here at Toyota, we were very excited to share that we could award a $1 million grant over a 4-year period, and this really took the nervousness off of the 4T core team because we knew the equipment, the training, some of the credential and curriculum cost would be helped with that 1 million grant. And this would really help kick off the 4T Academy so we could build sustainability in for the future.
Yeah, and I don't want to scare any of you away that may go, well, I'm not going to get $1 million from anybody, because although this grant is fantastic and it has taken this academy to a completely different level, I want you all to know that you can start very, conservatively to get this in place and get this process started. And there is funding available out there. And if you do have a corporation, an industry leader that steps up and says, I will support this, because that's the key to it. That's absolutely the key to the success of this process and this pathway system, is to really go full circle and to have everyone bought in to what the goal and the mission is. And so one thing we didn't really have written on this presentation that I want to mention before we close out is that everyone that sits on our advisory council had to sign a memorandum of understanding. That memorandum of understanding lists out what those expectations are for each member sitting on that team, of, down to not, being at every monthly meeting or doing your best to be at every monthly meeting, to contributing to making sure that our message is getting out there, contributing to our marketing and communication plan in the community. And so we really drive home the commitment. Just like when Sarah started this presentation, she shared with us her safety commitment. That is part of Toyota's culture, and that is part of Fortis culture. And so we really wanted to make sure that everybody was 100% on board with what the mission and vision of this program. And we laid out that 5-year plan, and continue to look at what that looks like. And as all manufacturing, I personally think, my years in manufacturing anyway, we all have to be continuously improving and having that constant innovation to really grow and improve upon. So that, that's a real big piece of, what this program is. Again, if you have any questions or concerns, at the beginning of this presentation is both Sarah and I's contact information. Please reach out to us and ask any questions that you may have, and we'll do our best to answer all of those for you. Sarah,
And maybe lastly,
go ahead.
Lisa, if I can just leave everyone just again with this thought. So, again, being in manufacturing, being in an employer, this partnership with the schools, with the community, with Toyota, it's been challenging, but there's also been lots of learning. Learning from the school side to Toyota, learning from the Toyota side to the school, learning from the state side. And I really feel like that has made us stronger as an employer. It's made the Gibson County Schools stronger. It's made our community stronger, because really we are all working together for the future of our students and for the future of our community. So
And
again,
Sarah,
it's
could you
very
also
pivotal.
yeah, sorry, could you also add, what did it mean to you to have an NMAC come in and kind of be the liaison for this?
Sure, Lisa. So again, I would definitely recommend having kind of that unbiased third party, because again, Toyota is looking at it from an industry side, the schools were looking at it from a student side. So really, Lisa was that one, she had the knowledge and background, having started up a couple of these similar programs throughout the state. So she knew what the template was to start the program. She had the connections from a state level. So again, being in manufacturing, I don't know about grants that are available. I don't know how to incorporate sometimes, dual credits in, or the state certifications in. So her role was very instrumental in sharing those opportunities, so both us and the schools could join together to again make sure that we were utilizing all of our resources available. So again, just having that third party to help guide and direct and being that connection was really instrumental in our success to date.
Yes, and I want to also commend Toyota for their commitment in this. You guys have done a fantastic job of just keeping, making sure that we all continue to stay on track, and make sure that everyone knows that you are 100% committed to this, for the future and to come. So we want to thank all of you for joining us today. Again, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. You can connect with us on LinkedIn if you would like as well. And we appreciate your time. Have a great day.